Alright, just got back from the dentist. Now let's review a movie about candy. Wonka. So Wonka is a spiritual prequel, I would call it, to the 1971 classic Gene Wilder Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, which, as we all know, was in turn based off of the Roald Dahl book Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which came out in 1964. So Wonka is the origin story of said chocolate factory. It tells the story of how Willy Wonka arrived in town with an idea in his head and a hat full of dreams. He wants to sell his magical chocolate, but the chocolate cartel is like, he's too good, we need to put him out of business for our sake, and so they're trying to stop his dreams from coming true. But Willy Wonka finds himself with a nice crew of friends, and together they will use their pure imagination to make these dreams reality. There's nothing to it. Now, I will be completely 100% honest with you. I was not sure how good this movie was gonna be. I mean, I love the Gene Wilder film. It's a classic. The Johnny Depp version, not so much. Yeah, that was one of Tim Burton's misses. But the Gene Wilder movie is like one of the best kids movies ever made, based off one of the best children's books of all time, if you ask me. Gotta say, this prequel surprised me and surpassed my expectations in every best way possible. I loved this movie. Oh man. And my biggest concern about it was Timothée Chalamet as the title character, Willy Wonka, because I know Timothée Chalamet as Paul Atreides, you know? I know him for being really stoic, emotionless, and good at being that. He's really good in Dune, so when I saw him cast as Willy Wonka, I was like, that's a miscast. He's being all fun and eccentric and crazy like Willy Wonka is, I was like, that's just strange. No, like right when the movie starts off with a musical number and Willy Wonka singing, I fell right into it. Cause I was like, whoa, wait a minute, Timothée Chalamet can sing? I'll get to the music a little later. But no, he completely sells the fun nature of Willy Wonka. He is a bit eccentric, sure, but he has such a pure dream. He comes from humble beginnings, so you're rooting for him, which actually is something he does end up having in common with Charlie Bucket later down the line. Point is, Timothée Chalamet, yeah, this guy's got a great acting range. Yeah, I like him as Paul Atreides, but I loved him as Willy Wonka, which again, I did not think I'd be saying that, but here we are. Gotta love a good surprise. Other than him, the supporting characters, they're a fun bunch. This girl named Noodle, she ends up becoming Wonka's right-hand kid pretty much, and she's given her own story arc that you also really empathize with. You feel for her, you feel for the bond between her and Willy Wonka. You want them to help each other out, and they do, and it feels great. And then you have this sinister chocolate cartel. These three other businessmen who sell their own chocolate, they are conspiring against Willy Wonka to get him out of the game. And you know, this being a kid's movie first and foremost, they're gonna be those mustache-twirling villains. But they play it up. I don't know any of these actors, but the vibe of their characters totally works for this movie. Same thing with Olivia Colman, same thing with Rowan Atkinson, same thing with Keegan-Michael Key. They're all like the perfect actors to be in a Willy Wonka movie today. Honestly, great casting all around. Along with Hugh Grant as the Oompa Loompa. He ended up having some of the funniest moments in the movie. I will say he's not in the movie as much as you might have thought he is, but when he's on screen, he completely steals the scene. He's hilarious. Alright, characters done, let's talk about the movie. Cause like I said, yeah, this movie is fantastic in my opinion. Let's start off with the whimsy, because this movie captures that childlike wonder that a lot of kids' movies these days completely fail to capture, in my opinion. This is the same childlike wonder that the first couple of Harry Potter movies have, which makes sense since this movie actually does come from Heyday Films and David Heyman, the producer of the Harry Potter films. This movie, Wonka, absolutely captures that. Cause you're dealing with Willy Wonka, so it's magical chocolate. Everyone loves chocolate, right?
Chocolate!
Actually, I know a person or two who does not. Hey, to each their own, but I personally love chocolate. You know what I would give to eat a piece of chocolate that makes me float or gives me bright ideas? I would love that. When Willy Wonka's up there going, "Good evening, everyone. My name is Willy Wonka. Here's some of my chocolate. Come here, take a try." I just wanted to be like, "Ooh, me, can I have one?" I don't know, just this vibe and atmosphere and tone is so easy for me to fall into. Cause it takes me back to being a kid, watching the first couple Harry Potter movies for the first time. Which is funny because at quite a few points in this movie in particular, it also felt a lot like Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. The first one, not the other ones, just the first one. I mean, you have a man who's coming back from a trip and he's got a suitcase full of his, little wonders. Yeah, Willy Wonka did remind me of Newt Scamander a couple of times, although he's much more extroverted. And this comparison to the first Fantastic Beasts movie is not a bad thing, mind you. That first movie is still pretty good. But I feel like this movie, Wonka, did a better job at capturing that old school Harry Potter feeling than any of the Fantastic Beasts movies did, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Because again, it's a world of magic chocolate. I'm sold. Magic chocolate and musical numbers. Yeah, this movie's a musical. Did you know that? No? Well, I don't blame you, because the trailers didn't reveal that. I mean, they kinda did with the Oompa Loompa song at the end of the second trailer, but really, think about it, the Gene Wilder movie's a musical, so why shouldn't this movie be? And all the songs in this movie are really good. The movie does a really good job at organically segueing into a song, not all the time, but most of the time. Most of the time I was able to tell, okay, a song's coming up, right? I can hear it queuing up, yeah, alright, here we go. And yeah, they do bring back the most memorable tunes from the Gene Wilder film, the Oompa Loompa song and Pure Imagination, which, that song will bring me to tears on a good day. That song is just so beautiful. Again, for lack of a better word, it's just pure. I mean, just think of the concept of a magical candy factory. I remember my mom reading the book to me as a kid and my imagination just running wild. It's magic, you know? Never believe it's not so. The only minor gripes I do have with this film are twofold. A, the lip syncing is abysmally obvious. Yeah, you know when it comes to movie musicals, I always prefer the songs to be sung live. It's just more real and natural. Now, the songs in this movie, they're all lip synced to the studio recordings. It's the kind of lip syncing that would make The Greatest Showman proud. Yeah, it was pretty bad. And B, the visual effects. There were quite a few points where the CG was really CG-ish. Like, there's a giraffe in the movie. That is such an obviously CG giraffe. But in the end, Wonka is surprisingly one of my favorite movies of 2023, which is always great when that happens. I did not expect this movie to even come close to my top 10 list, but director Paul King apparently had other plans for me. I love the characters, I love Timothée Chalamet as Willy Wonka, I love the music, and above all else, I love the whimsy. That childlike wonder I thought was long gone, dead, and buried. Nah. It's still alive. That is so heartwarmingly reassuring. And for Wonka, I will say, go see this movie right now. Side note, does anyone else think of the other kids from the original stories as representations of some of the deadly sins? Think about it. Augustus Gloop is gluttony, Veruca Salt is greed, Violet Beauregard is pride, and Mike TV is sloth. Yeah, that's how I see it anyway. I love that. Roald Dahl, you clever, clever man. So Wonka, what did you think about it? Have you seen it yet? Wait, scratch that. Reverse it. Whatever you think, go ahead and leave a comment. And of course, thank you for subscribing. Now, if you'll excuse me, I should get to that Indigo Disc DLC, since I do have it. The world of Pokemon. Talk about a world of pure imagination, am I right? Peace!